Hello. Good evening, good people. Welcome to Queens Glean, the after conversation to Kings Speak. Now, earlier this week, we had a conversation with a great friend of mine and financial advisor, Malik Platts, and we talked all things love, happiness, and all that other stuff. So we covered premarital counseling, interracial dating, some of the fears men have about marriage. And now it's time for the queens to get together and discuss our side of things, how we feel, and our take on things. So, like always, I am joined by my queen crew. Let me get these ladies up in here. Yes. How is it going, ladies?
Good. Let me make sure my
Good. It's been a day, but it's good.
I heard that. So yes, we have Keandra in the building and Key Renee. So excited. It's so funny. I don't know what happened, but as soon as I was going to start this, I don't know where all of the banner, the border, it just disappeared. So I was like, let me just start. Gotta love that Mercury retrograde tech.
It's very real today. It's been real these last 2 weeks for me, but today it was pretty much the same. Yeah, pretty much the same.
I don't know. Today I had weird things. Like I had a man walk up to me and write his number on a $20 bill and say, "Please call me."
Oh, yeah, sure. Right after lunch.
Right.
Thank you.
Girl, I was like, okay.
Right.
Money.
Okay, well, that was nice of him. Well, that is a great
very
way.
nice.
Yeah.
So I guess the retrograde ain't Mercury in over here.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Unless that part of things is the backwards part and you just get to enjoy that for now.
Right.
That's probably what it is.
Right. I love it. Well, I was looking forward to today. I kind of had a chill day too. I know you guys saw on Instagram, I made that mulled wine. It was so good. But yeah, we had like a few bottles. And so today I was like, But now I'm excited and happy to be here and excited to talk about all these things because it was really fun to talk to Malik. We've been friends for so long. He's such a good guy. So I had fun with this one and I know you guys like the show. So you know how we start before we get all the way into it. What are your thoughts about Malik and who he is and what he had to share?
Well, shout out to Malik for his transparency and his honesty. Like, he was definitely dropping a lot of stuff that I'm sure other dudes was like, no, like, you selling it a bro code, like you just selling it all. So he definitely kept it just so real. So I really appreciate that. I also appreciate it, I guess, for the single ladies who are in, the Southern California area to just have the little geographical gems where you can find the professional men. But really, in all honesty, I just really appreciated his transparency and being able to be vulnerable and keeping the conversation very real. So shout out to you for all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I second what you're saying. Like, I definitely feel like he's like the women's guide to being single in LA. Like, and I always love when I see like men who are like low-key, like you're like the baby Steve Harvey, because Steve Harvey used to be the one who was telling all the business and giving us all the good insight and stuff. But honestly, like Jaimi, you find the best men to interview and they give the best insight, like regardless. Like I love coming back to like talk about it.
Yes, I love that, and thank you so much. Yeah, and it's been such a blessing because it's like it's happening so intuitively, and these are just really people that I know, and it's just so organic, and the flow is so good. I love these guys. I'm just so proud of them, and who they are and what they have to share. So I definitely appreciate it because Malik, that's my boy. He's solid. He really is calm. He really is about that business, and he does keep it real. Like he's from Philly, and he gonna give it to you straight. But then he's also very smart and enterprising, and he works really hard. So when I was working with him, we had so much fun. It was my job basically to get his appointments and stuff, and his Rolodex was like all these celebrities. So I used to talk to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was one of the celebrities who always picked up, and this is before he was big. So he was always kind to me, even though it was like a sales call. He was always cool. Just a bunch of different celebs and people. We've had a blast. So he definitely knows what he's talking about because he lived that life. So let's dive into this conversation. There was so much to talk about here, but let's just start with one of these points. So Malik was saying, I was asking him about courtship. We had got Lena in the chat was like, guys don't know how to court anymore. So I was like, Malik, what's up with that? And he and he said, because social media scene, men don't have to court anymore. If they want to talk to you or kick it or do whatever, they can do a little Netflix and a pizza and we good. So I had some things to say about that, but I want to find out what you got to say about it. So when do you think courtship should be introduced in a relationship? As a woman, what do you feel?
I feel like it can come in. Here's the thing. Like, I know that people meet easier on social media, but it still is just the connection point. Like, it doesn't take away from all of the other aspects of getting to know a person and just the process of dating and going out and spending time with one another and not within each other's personal space. Like, of course, there can be a time for the Netflix and chill, but like initially, nah. And COVID's not an excuse for it either. You know, like we know friends who have found basically, you know, partners and have started dating during this time, and they got creative and figured out ways to still hang out with each other and get to know each other outside of being at home. So I just find, you know, people just use social media, unfortunately, to just be so lazy. And like, I don't know, like, it was interesting. I was listening in the interview. I don't know whose responsibility it is to like hold the standard. Like, as the woman, you know, do we have to be the ones to say, I mean, it's easy to definitely say no, you know, like to decline the invitation to just have the Netflix and chill and ordering a pizza or, you know, whatever. But you can do things that are lower cost if that's what it's really about, not necessarily wanting to spend money initially. Like, there's ways that you can still do things creatively outside of the house and just doing something super basic. So yeah, the part where I don't know is like, who actually has the responsibility? Is it the dude to know, like, just because we met, you know, and you slid in my DMs, like that does not take away from your responsibility to court me.
Right, I mean,
you know, and then as the woman, me standing my ground and making sure that like, no, like I'm not going to accept your little booty whack lazy invitation.
No, yeah.
Lazy.
For sure. Yeah, I wish I could, like, I had like a reference. I don't have people in my DMs. Like, I don't have DM hits.
People ain't blowing up my DMs like that. They do, but it's not crazy like you would think. So I get you.
Or it'll be like a spam page type of vibe, but you know, but on dating apps, you know, we popping. You know. But it's like, yeah, it's like, I feel like these virtual ways that we're meeting, it kind of does blur those lines of like, okay, well, I didn't have to like do anything to approach you. All I had to do was swipe right or swipe left. Like we've been talking in this app forever. So technically, wasn't that me courting? And I think sometimes men get confused. And even sometimes as women, I can even agree and say that I have to, you know, take blame myself, that sometimes I will allow and forget that, wait a minute, no, hold on, wait, how did you get to my house? Like, did we go out on a date? Or was that a date? Oh, was it a date? Like, you know, and it's like, I feel like now in this generation, things are getting a little bit confused on like, well, what is courting today? Like, is it just saying how cute you are in a text message? Or is it FaceTiming me? Like, you know, like, yeah, so I think it is kind of confused, but at the end of the day, courting should happen all the time. And I think it's, as women, we do have to set boundaries and recognize like what do we consider courting? Because what you may consider courting may not be what someone else considers it. And just based on like what you consider it, what do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we would have to ask up front, like, what do you want? I like that, because then you can give the guy the opportunity to pull up. But I do think, one, there's a fear there for women to have, or I'll speak to myself. I've had a season where I've been a little fearful to be too harsh or too whatever, because I don't want to scare the guy off. But then at the same time, it's like, if you're scared off because I'm asking you to be an upstanding man, then you probably should go anyway. And that's something that I had to allow maturity to let, you know, I think as women at some point we could stand to be cool with walking away. But I think it's so important, because it's like, sometimes I think about dating and courtship differently. I'm like, dating and then courtship is maybe like when you really want to marry somebody, or, you know, you start making some really intentional plans. But Netflix and chill don't do it for me. It really irritates me when a guy thinks it's cool to come through my house and I don't want to be home. I was home all day. Like you said, COVID or not, there's the beach, there's rooftop stuff that's open. You can get your little Corona, whatever you got to do, it could be done. But for me, I'm an active woman, and getting to know a man in different spaces and sectors and out, and like, I need that in order to even understand who he is. And what I was telling Malik in the thing is like, okay, so just because you could get it easy, you gonna take it easy, but that don't last. So what are you in it for?
Yeah. And I remember when I was on dating apps, you could feel or like even get a sense of like, okay, this is going to be a lazy dude. Like, because sometimes the conversation, it's taken forever for it to go offline, you know? And like, I'm definitely one of those who I don't necessarily agree that you have to immediately give your actual phone number if you don't want people to be hitting you up like that. But still, you know, you could set up a Google Voice, or, you know what I'm saying? Like something else. That's, you know, what I did before I was, you know, ready to actually give someone my real number. But I just remember with some dudes, it was a struggle to take the conversation off the dating app. And it's like, look, like, I'm not one who's wanting to constantly have a ton of texting back and forth. Like, for me, I'm into conversation. You know, I don't want it to stay surface forever. And so communication is a really like a critical key and part of like the courtship. And so if we can't even take this basic conversation offline, then I already know then everything else is most likely going to be a struggle. And then, you know, I might as well just not be interested and just know like, okay, I'll walk away now.
No, yeah.
And it's not impressive. It's not like you think I'm going to want to be with you after you gave me this lazy opportunity. Like sometimes I feel like, do you see me? What makes you think I want to? Oh,
yeah. But you know what? I think some men think that dating app is like their phone, and that they're actually like texting you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, too. Like they really see that as their phone. And I don't know if you guys have been on, I don't like to promo people when they're not paying us, but there is one day. But there's if you've been on Hinge, they have like, you can FaceTime in there and call people straight from the app. So it's kind of like, now I was like, men probably do think that's their real phone. Like, you know, and it's like, it's not your phone, bruh. Like, I'm not FaceTiming you in this app, and I'm not calling you in this app.
Right.
I mean, I'm glad that they have that, because like you said, Keandra, with the texting, you can't hear voice inflections and all that. You're not really getting to know anybody. That should just be the beginning thing. Then maybe do coffee or something simple where you can get in, get out. And then after that, if it's looking like something, nothing turns me on more than a man who makes some plans. You thought about some plans?
Listen.
Wow.
Wow. Like that is, men don't really know how valuable that is. And it's like, it's such a poor excuse, because there's just so many resources and like apps and websites that just make it easy for you. You know what I'm saying? Like whole itineraries are planned out, you know? So like a man who doesn't plan anything, for me, that's a terrible sign. It's really, for me, a red flag. And that's a whole nother discussion and topic. But yeah, you know,
a red flag. Like, I love it.
It is a red flag. Like, you can't plan anything. Like, I get that everyone has their strengths, but you know, we're adults. Like, you have to be able to have some ability to like carry out something. Follow through. That's really what it shows. Follow through, and at least planning things and thinking ahead of time about stuff. So but
and it also proves to me, it's like, show me that you're interested. Like, you sat up there and you thought about something I would like, you heard something I said in a conversation, and you were intentional about trying to do something nice for me so I can have a good time. Like, that to me is such a beautiful interaction. I value that so much, and would love to see more of it. So guys, making them plans. Hello.
It's a sexy thing. Get all the way into it.
Yes. And then even if you are, like you said, after you do the dinners, whatever, you are going to do Netflix and chill, like, make it cute. Come over with like some bomb Trader Joe's snacks and a bottle of, like, make it cute. Don't just slide through. Like,
you know what is weird? You know what I want to touch is like, how all of us keep saying that men are coming to our places. Don't you realize that's becoming more common that men are going to women's houses more than women are going to men's houses?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so different now. And I started noticing that recently too. Like, yo, I always just let people come here. I'd never want to go to their house anymore.
Sometimes I don't think they have it together.
They don't. They don't.
They be roommating, girl. People be having, you know, staying with family.
All the things. Even Malik or they may
said,
still be with you know, with another chick. So, you know, they still in transition.
I went out with a dude like that, and he was so cute. He was tall. We had a great conversation. And then, of course, he was being transparent during dinner. And come to find out, he talked about he sleep on the couch at his baby mom's house because
at least he told you.
Of course, but so they could co-parent the 2-year-old.
See, that's weird though.
And it's like,
I'm not dating him.
Yeah, it's because it's like y'all are still having sex. Like, let's stop. Like, we're all adults here. Like, you sleeping on the couch? Oh, all right, okay. Let's stop using the kids.
Is she walking in the kitchen in her panties? Like,
yeah, like come on,
y'all are together. Like, y'all
are together. Like, if y'all still living together, it's hard to like separate the roles and who it is that you used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things are still commingled. You still showing up as the man, and she's still, I'm sure, used to you doing certain things and falling into certain roles. So yeah, no. If you and you're not ready to really be dating, at least not seriously. And you know, thank you for your honesty and letting me know. Yeah, but exactly.
Dinner and honesty.
Dinner and honesty.
And you know, that might be it too. I think in this new generation, some women, and I can't speak for all, but they might be just okay with just getting dinners. So there is no more courting. Like, and even one of my friends, he's like, Kira, you will take a free meal, girl. I know. He's like, I know you. You may not like him, but you'll take that meal. And I'm like, you know what? I sure will.
Yeah. He said, a girl gotta eat.
True. That is so true. Like, I think it depends on the season that you're in too. Yeah. You know, like there definitely was a time when it was like, I just want something light. Like if we just going out just to kick it and nothing comes of it, great. You know, like I'm just looking to connect and meet other people, and I still got to eat. We all hungry.
I heard that. That was actually going to be my next question. Do you believe as women collectively, we have lowered our standard for what's required in pursuing a relationship?
That's a tough question.
Have we lowered our standards? Because it is a tough question because everybody's in different seasons, but collectively, I do think that social media, the easy access, have shifted things. And then also because a lot of men don't behave in the old school traditional way. Like if you watch a movie from like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, it's just so men are eager to want to like, let me open the door. Let me go to like just to
they don't even do that stuff anymore.
Refined, you know, and it was just like a thrill for them. Yeah. Now that's changed too. So it's like, are we just adapting?
I think it's generational. I don't think like we have lowered our standards. I just think those standards don't apply anymore. They're non-existent kind of, because most men who are, especially the poor kids in their 20s right now, they're not being taught to open up doors for women. Literally, I have a friend, like 29 years old, didn't even know that you're supposed to stand on the outside of a woman when you walk down the street. Wow. Like had to call his mother and be like, is this real? Is she driving me? Like, are you really supposed to be standing on the outside? And he's like, yes, baby, you are. Oh, well, I guess I should start doing it. Yes. 29, like, and it's like, but they're not taught these things anymore. Yeah. Like, they weren't taught it. So it's like, how do they know that they're supposed to do these things if it's not even a part of culture anymore? Which means that guess what? They're not teaching that to their sons. So I think it's just kind of generationally fallen off. Because there's things our mothers did that we don't do anymore. Like, you know, holding off.
Like what?
I said holding off.
Holding off.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, truth be told, they weren't really holding off either. I think they just wanted us to. But no, it's interesting because, you know, a lot of the men that I hang around and know, and even, you know, my partner, like he is still very old school in that way of walking on the outside, opening doors. But I've heard from some of my other single friends that are men that there are women who actually don't like it. And so they feel like it's, you know, like it kind of takes away from the equality and, you know, that it's like this, I'm underneath you if you're doing all these things. And so I think for some men, not necessarily all, but for some, they're confused because they're like, well, some women, are expecting me to pull out their chair when we get to dinner and open the door and the car door and all that. And, then there's other women who are just like, no, I'm not about that. So I think there's just confusion that is also happening where these men are just like, they're just lost. Like they don't know what to do.
Yeah. And then that's another thing too. Like if we're not going on dates, how are you getting that practice? Like I understand people maybe not, as a man, I'm sure men are not that excited to just be coming out the pocket galore just to test drive their gentlemanhood or whatever. But at the same time, like, yeah, it's still an opportunity for them to kind of learn how to do those things differently. And this kind of, so I have another topic, but this kind of comes into it. So basically, so do you think men not having fathers in their lives is that reason enough to not understand how to pursue a woman? Is it just like, oh, our fathers didn't teach us and is that reason enough? Or should there be some other kind of research going on? We got YouTube.
Oh, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
It is hard to say. I think it's hard to say because we're not men and we weren't raised as men. Like, so it's kind of hard to tap into like, is it an excuse? Because me personally, I feel like I haven't experienced the male life cycle. So I don't know, like, if it is or isn't enough. But when you reversed it to women, it kind of took me back to like, I remember when I had a friend who was like, oh, I blame my mom because she never taught me how to do my hair when I was little. And that's why my hair never looks good. And I was like, but we're 27.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, so I think when it comes to those things, it's like, at what point do you no longer get to use that as a crutch?
Yeah.
But if you can or can't, I personally don't know if you can or can't, because I don't know your experience as a male and if you actually do need a man around to be a real man, because could a female teach you? There's strong men who are raised by women who are just fine. So I don't know necessarily if you need that, but I do know that there has to be a point at, okay, what age does it no longer be able to be used as the excuse now? Because I think 27 is too grown.
Right. You got resources.
I agree. And that's exactly what I was going to say, Jaimi. I hear what you're getting at, where it's just like, yeah, it's definitely a real thing. Like men do, at least from what I've heard, often men learn through observation. And so if there isn't anybody that is modeling, certain things, then yeah, there could be the possibility of not knowing. But it kind of goes back to that thing of like, but we're not, as women, we don't necessarily get to keep that excuse and just kind of be like, well, my mama never taught me how to cook. You know what I mean? Because then it becomes this thing of like, but that's what you're supposed to do. Right. And then back to the resources, there's YouTube, there's all these different mentor groups and all that. And so there does become a point, not to say that women have to learn how to cook or, whatever it is, but just as an example,
right?
When you know that you have a deficit in something, there's way too many resources. And just as an adult, it is no longer an excuse. Like it becomes your responsibility. Like you can't just continue to just hold on to that of like blaming your parents or blaming, how you were raised. Like that's basically staying in this victim place. Like you can change, you can learn. And, the same way is all these YouTube videos are now available to learn how to flat twist or whatever, I'll be on there because I'm
get your hair together.
Not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that great when it comes to, doing certain hairstyles and braiding and whatnot. But again, if that's something that I'm wanting to learn, then, I can definitely not continue to blame my mom and take some responsibility.
No, for sure.
You just don't blame your mama. It's my mama's fault.
It's my mama's fault.
Hair
and then like, but she said it with so much conviction too. Like,
right.
And I was just kind of like taken aback, like, girl, you don't knock it off.
Knock that off.
What? We are too grown for this.
That is hilarious. I mean, I get it too. And I get your point too, Key. Like we can't really say because we're not men, but then you think the vice versa. So basically, Malik was talking about, a lot of Black men have been raised by their mothers. So they have a lot of feminine traits. And he said they end up replacing their moms with their girlfriend and she takes on a mother role. And that kind of makes sense to me. There's only so much that I believe naturally a man can learn about being a man from a woman, because, you know, shout out to the single mothers. They go hard. And I know that they do the best that they can do. But Malik was also sharing, like, whether you've got a daughter or a son, to have strong male figures in their lives, because on the vice versa, when he was talking about women, a woman not having a father in their life, is that reason enough to understand how to talk to a man? Because he comes across, you know, a lot of women who just, that pop off game is a little too sharp, and it's embarrassing, and it's in public, and there's these things where it's just like, you just don't do that to a man. So
you don't. But then the thing is that you don't. Okay, look, I'm gonna let you know right now, Blake, I am a fatherless daughter. So it's like, is it because society said you don't talk like that, or is it because you feel that a woman is not supposed to speak to you that way?
No, like, I think men really get embarrassed on a different level if their woman is popping off, and especially in public, like the way that we can. I wonder
I wonder how. I'm sorry to cut you off. I wonder how we feel when they pop off on us in public. Like, well, so is there a difference?
No, it's not a difference. It's still an issue. Yeah, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems like when it comes to relationship dynamics, like, I can't even think of the reference, but it seems like men value respect, whereas women value being loved and being cherished. And so it's like a part of just the way that we're wired. Like, it's something about, you know, we need to just basically have a different, a softer approach, you know, like we want, I don't know, just a lot of that nurturing and, you know, just wanting to be taken care of and cherished and treated very gentle. And they want to be respected, you know, like not talked down to and those types of things. And I've heard it, you know, a couple of times, because that is like a major thing, like, you know, the mouthiness. A lot of men get really turned off by that. And it's, you know, that's fine, you know, like, I mean, I have a mouth myself, but understanding, tempering it, adjusting tone, because tone can be a big thing, you know, for men, and their ability to receive what it is that you're saying or what, you know, is trying to be communicated. So I guess if it's a matter of like respect, if they feel like you just being just all disrespectful and embarrassing me in public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it and I've heard it, and you're still right. That's such a good thing to bring up. They be wanting that respect that weighs more to them. So it's like they might not need all the hugs and kisses depending on what their love language is. And it's like, you love me, I get it, but do you respect me? And, you know, to do that is, you know, no. And I did have my father in my life. I'm not sure, but that's not to say that I haven't been in a space where I popped off, because, you know, I've been in situations where, what you did was disrespectful. And guess what? Now, I don't care who's watching. Yeah. We're addressing this. Like, I done blacked out. Yeah. I don't even know where I'm at right now. So I get it. I want to be better too, because I don't want to create an environment where my man feels like I'm going to verbally castrate him.
You want him to be better.
Yeah.
So he don't put you in a situation where you have to do this.
But see, it's like up front, I wouldn't be able to vet good enough where he doesn't even want to put me in that position. We're not going to be arguing like that, because he's not going to be doing the things that cause a woman to go nuts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's where those no more Netflix and chills thing happen. Because I think like no, because, you know, like when you're getting to know someone, I feel like you got to kind of get to know them in every environment. I think sometimes that's where women fall short, is that they've been cuddling with this man in the house for 6 months, and they always are in the house. Then finally he invites them to go somewhere and be around his friends or something, but you've never been outside the house with this person to see how they act around people. And now you're shocked when he's treating you in a way where it's like, wait a minute, you never act like this when it's just us. And it's like, well, you also never got to go see how he acted around other people.
Yep. Or they're disrespectful to, you know, like if you're going out to a restaurant and they're disrespectful to the hostess or the server or whatever. Like, I liked even when Malik brought that example up of like, if he's taking a girl on the date and she immediately is just being rude, to all the servers, but that's a turn off to me too, So it's like when you're not able to see how people interact with other people in different social situations, or even with, other friends, if they have the ability to actually stay secure in who they are, like, are they articulate? Can they, be, versatile
Work a
and taken
room.
work a room, or be taken into different type of social situations. Like, all of those things definitely matter, especially when you're thinking about, a relationship with some longevity. So different atmospheres are absolutely important.
Yeah, I agree. I actually kind of crave that because it is nice to see how your man performs in different, settings. And not only that, but when you're great at it, it might be part of what turns me on too. Like,
How
can I
about
get
that?
excited? Like, there's different things that excite me, and it might just be how you communicate with So there's so many layers there that I don't think that they're thinking about. Like, show off, show me something. Like,
Right.
go off. Let me see what's up.
Right. You know what other point? Sorry, Jamie, to cut you off.
No,
Another
you're good.
point that I thought about when he said, women are raised, I'm sorry, when men are raised primarily by single moms, how they basically take on feminine traits. I actually just thought about myself, even though I was raised in a home where there was a father and a mom, I wasn't raised to be a wife per se. I feel like
Mm.
the emphasis for me was to be independent. Like, I was raised to not need anybody. And so that dynamic of, maybe men taking on more of these quote unquote feminine traits, and me basically being raised, and not even just myself, but a generation of women that I know that are a lot like me, where we're raised to be able to, not have to rely and depend on anybody to go out here and get it for ourselves. And then this expectation where we're bringing the way that we're raised into a relationship, and how much that really affects the dynamic in the way that we need each other and treat each other, and have to unlearn certain things. So that was actually a thought that I had when he said that. Like, that's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
Yeah, God, you brought up a good point because now that I think about it, I was raised to be independent too. I had a little motherly thing because I have baby sisters, and I was there, like I was like, these are my babies. Like, y'all need food? Do you need? I was just the mama bear to them, but at the same time, I was raised to be independent. But what I thought about when he spoke about that was when it because I feel like guys that I've dated in my past, and my sister, one of my sisters is really wildly intuitive, and she saw me with two guys, not years apart, different situations, but was like, what? Every time I'm around you and one of the guys you're dating, I feel like you're their mom. And so
Mm,
I'm like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to be their mom. But then when I think about it, and, I listened to one of my friends, Mike, he did the thing on the Rebel Camp about codependency. One of the traits of a codependent relationship is being a rescuer. And
yes.
I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
have I been serving these mama's boys in a particular way? Because there's an energy exchange. Like, sometimes you don't know what it is, but I am motherly by nature. So I'm seeing your holes and I'm treating you a certain way, but is that so I can get a certain love in return? Like, that is a messed up relationship. I'm being your rescuer and you're being a child, and here we are in a relationship. And it's just, so when I heard about that, I thought about that, like, well, yeah, if they need a parent and I have that trait, like, I'm out here rescuing these I'm out here playing mother. Like,
Right.
no.
Hmm. And these dudes be showing up in that same rescue energy, like, sometimes, immediately swooping in and feeling like they need to, take care of a woman's household and show up as, a particular man, and they're just in a family dynamic or whatever it is. And basically doing that to the overextending to where they basically forget about themselves. And so,
Yeah.
it certainly can go both ways. And codependency is never a good look, but there's just so many, so
God.
many, so many layers of it, that it definitely is something that, can be worked through, because I do feel like we all have a little bit of a level of it, you know, like just because it's just that dysfunction that we've experienced in our family units and just our own trauma, you know what I mean? So we're naturally bringing that to our relationships and feeling like we got to prove who we are, or, you know, trying to feel good. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah.
Key, I feel like you reacted. Do you feel like you've been a rescuer before, or been in a codependent relationship where you've kind of played that role?
I rescue all my men.
She flips her cape. She's like,
I rescue them all. No.
Yeah.
No, it's not on purpose though. But you know what, because I was, every time I think about like men who worry about women, or you know, men having feminine traits or those type of things, I always think like I have 4 brothers, all raised by a mom, like, you know, and none of them have feminine traits at all. But I will tell you this, and my brother he's a pimp, but he pimps women. And you know, like, he's the opposite. Like, he's the type where like
is he literally a pimp?
No. Like,
okay,
I mean, like, no. I mean,
like,
like,
here in these streets.
All right, different words. But I mean, like, he like gets women to pay his cell phone bills. Like, he gets women to take him out on dates. And like,
but see, that's feminine to me. That's a feminine trait.
And
I'm not saying he's feminine, but you know what I mean?
But I just be like, what? You know, you're supposed to be doing that stuff for women. Nah, these girls wanted to trick out on me. I'm gonna let them. And I just be like, I'm so not used to this. Like, you know, like, I'm used to me letting men do that for me. So maybe, well, you're right. Maybe it's a trait. I didn't even realize it.
To me, it sounds like a little bit of a trait, because, you know, Dondre Whitfield wrote a book, and Keandra and I have had the pleasure to like literally sit with Dondre and hear him speak about this. And when him being a dude from Brooklyn, but now a father, a husband, you know, and further along in career in his walk with God, he's very clear that it's a male versus man thing. Males, not everybody gets to be defined as a man, because you tall with a beard, that doesn't make you a man. Males look to be served. Men look to serve. And he's like, women, if you don't hear nothing else I say, look at what this man is doing. If he is asking, got his hand out and needing and wanting to, he's a male. It's time for him to grow up. It ain't no more, mommy, can I have some chips? Mommy, can I have some grapes?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be turned around now. How can you serve? So I do look for that. I look for a man with a servant's heart, because if he doesn't have it, that male is about to drain me in ways I'm not prepared to take on anymore.
Amen. That is like the simplest qualifier.
Yeah. I always wonder how these women even allow him to do this. I'd be like, girl, he got more money than y'all. Why are you spending your money?
Girl, what is he, tall and fine? Because these tall, fine ones, they be getting whatever they want.
I don't know.
Does he have a tattoo on his neck?
Right.
He don't got no tattoos. But I just be like, look, brother, if these girls gonna be paying for you to do stuff, tell them I need a bag.
I mean, slide my bill up in there.
Like, let me get something too then. Since you saving up all your money.
That's
I'll throw that this way. But yeah, I've always like, I feel like I've had that conversation with him so many times. Like, you know, that's kind of different that you like, because there was a guy here in LA who attempted to like ask me to like buy him dinner, and like tricked, like the person was like, I was tricked. And I don't know if you've ever been tricked like this. I was tricked into buying a man dinner. We were out eating. The bill comes and he's like, oh, I left my wallet at the hotel.
Well, you better go get it. Or waiter.
Like, the fuck? Like, you know? And I was just like, but then when I seen that we went to eat again, like, you know, you're like, okay, well, maybe you really just did leave it. Like, all right, whatever. It wasn't even
there's Apple Pay. What's that?
I don't think there was Apple Pay back then.
Okay. I was I got solutions.
Then when it happened the second time, I was like, no, I think you do this. Like, I really, and I told my brother, like, you know, I just cut off a dude because he does the things that you do to women. Except for like women let you do that stuff to them. But I literally just thought a dude was weird because he wanted me to pay for dinner. Like, that was weird to me.
That's actually happened to me. I remember we were at the movies with this one. Well, I was at the movies with this one dude, and he paid for the tickets, but then like he was taking forever, like, because it was a long line. So I remember going and standing in line, and he went to go park the car, and then he ends up meeting me. he was a little reluctant to pull out his wallet out of his pocket to pay for the tickets. But then when we got to the concession stand, he was just kind of like standing there. And it was almost as if he was like, it wasn't almost, I knew that he was waiting for me to basically be the one to pull out my pocket or pull out my wallet and basically buy everything. And so I basically just had a standoff. Like I basically just played dumb and was like, just played the waiting game. And then
I've done that before too.
Yeah. And then eventually he ended up, paying, but it was just kind of like, you invited me. I'm not paying for anything. Like,
no. I had that same situation at a movie. I don't know if you guys been to ArcLight. It's the favorite one. Yeah. So we were going to the ArcLight, and he invited me, interrupted my day to go to this movie. And we get to the counter, and the guy's like, okay, whatever the total's going to be. And he just stood there. And he was like kind of standing behind me a little bit. And I'm like a whole 30 seconds goes by, no movement. And I'm just like, what are we doing? And like the guy's like looking like twiddling his like little computer, looking like, oh, are they going to pay? And I'm just like, yo, so I go to go, because I'm like, this is weird. Like, I'm going to just pay for this. I'm not standing here no longer. And then I go to go reach for my bag. He's like, if you're going to pay for it, I'll just go ahead and cash app you my half. And I was like, cash app me your half?
Sir.
Yo, I remember I was like, what? Cash at me your half. And then I was just like, sure, let's get out of here. And I was just like, I didn't even want to watch this movie. I remember I was sat in the movie. I was the angriest person in the movie. Like I was literally sitting this is the dumbest movie ever. And I remember I wanted to go home, and I was just like, I went home and I was like, why did my cash app went off still?
Could that cash out? He just wanted to delay I cannot be around people like that. Like I wish that dude would put me on spot like that.
I was like, if my cash app don't ring by midnight tonight, you are blocked. And I swear my cash app did not ring. And he literally sent me a text.
I would have sent him I didn't call it when you request the money.
I've done that. I am such a stickler of I will pay to get you out of my life. To me, I paid to get you out. And he literally sent me a message 2 weeks later, hey, I would love to take you on a date. I said,
you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
I said, on whose tab?
No, you wouldn't love to do that.
You already had that opportunity.
Correct. Yeah. Plain and simple. I am not here for it. It's just, we got to find the balance, y'all. So, this here's our next subject. So Malik works with a lot of athletes. And he said we were talking about when, Black men get successful and sometimes marry outside of their race. And he's shared that some Black men have had bad experiences with Black women and then get successful and think, I guess now everything's supposed to be great with someone of another race. And he said that he doesn't want to do that because he wants to be an example for Black love in the next generation, which I really appreciated. So he doesn't want to gain wealth and then just give it all to a family of another race who probably has it a little bit more together than we do. So how do you guys feel about that? Is it important for you to marry a Black man? Has that been a thought of yours for years? What do you think about that?
No, I'm marrying a black man.
I'm so Black.
Absolutely.
I've always prayed and I've always dreamed about chocolate babies. I want chocolate babies. I want a beautiful black daughter, whatever skin tone of chocolate she becomes, so that I can raise her to know how regal and how beautiful she is. And I want a Black man sitting next to me so we can have some beautiful Black kings, so we can remind them of where they came from and who they are. And I think for me, it's been instilled in me forever because I'm not even attracted to any other races. I've never even talked to anyone outside of my race. I've never even been attracted to anyone outside of my race. So I kind of just know I'm destined to be with a Black man.
I agree.
Period.
Yeah. Ain't nothing like a Black man, period. Yeah. And for me, that's always been what I've envisioned. It's always what I knew would happen for me. I definitely have dated outside of my race.
Oh, good.
How was that?
I was like, wait, I don't think I knew that. I was like,
yes. I'm from the Bay. So,
that's right.
It's not hard. Men of other races can also still have flavor in and still
No,
also be
up north
attractive.
dudes are different. Up north white men are not, or other races are not the same.
Yeah, so I definitely was open to it. There were some differences. But for me, that's just always what I've envisioned. And I never expected anything other than that, So, and I definitely want to always represent, just Black love and Black possibility and Black legacy and, just all of that. Like, that's a part of who I am and very important for me. So yeah, I agree with Malik.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page as both of you. It's funny because when I was younger, I'm a military brat, so I've always grown up in diverse areas. And when I was younger, I used to like Brian Austin Green from 90210, Zach Morris. There was like a little Spanish guy in my class. I liked him. So I used to, but I feel like when I got to middle school, I had a crush on this guy, Tyrone. And then after that, like I just I was just like, oh, they look like me. We got the sauce. We're here for it. And I just have always seen myself, the Black man, a Black family, everything. And I felt like I had to stand up for us just a little bit in the interview because, well, not like Malik was opposing, but even though some Black men say they've been overlooked by Black women and they get famous and it's this and that or whatever the case, sometimes I have to remind Black men where it's like, well, we have issues with y'all too. Like there's a lot of hurt in different areas when it comes to love and Black love and the relationship between Black men and women. But you don't really hear us going in droves like, oh, we got our little entrepreneur Monday now. Let's go. Where's Zach at? Like, where's Kyle? Like, where's, we never, I don't feel like
I think that is
like
real.
that.
Like, Black women never get to express all the agony that they deal with Black men. But Black men are always complaining about what they deal with Black women. When it's like, we're dealing with the same type of annoyance that you're talking about with you.
Yep. And it's a lot of Black women, even friends of mine that exclusively don't date Black men because of the agony and the heartbreak that they've been through. And so it's just the same. But I think, Key, you're right. Like, not a lot of Black women are making these, public displays about it. And, you know what I'm saying? Banners and whole, groups and
like
clubs.
You're aggressive. You're loud.
Like it's
you're
just,
extra.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And I never get offended. I know there's always this thing of Black women feeling or being offended that a Black man, when he gets wealth, goes to a white woman. But I say this, like, there's tons of wealthy, non-famous Black men who you don't see in the spotlight who are marrying Black women. So you only really see the wealthy Black men who are in the spotlight who are whatever going and dating outside their race. But the thing is, you're not hearing about all the stories of wealthy Black men who did get their money and did stay with Black women. So you believe that it's not happening, but it's actually happening more than you think. And just because there's like this little spot of Black men who date outside their race, there's tons of Black men who stay within their race and keep that wealth in the race. So I think for me, I think it's like, it's all preference. I never get offended. I don't care. Because I'd be like, I know that maybe that just wasn't his preference. He didn't prefer to be with you or us. Like, and that's okay. Who cares?
Yes. And sometimes you can't help who you fall in love with.
Of course.
Like when it actually is love, then wonderful. But when it is based on the superficial ideals and when you carrying basically you being mad at, the girl who basically rejected you when you were 16 and now you carrying that into your adult life and basically blaming everybody else, then, that's an issue.
Yeah, that's kind of on you. And then not only that, but you're right too, Key. Like, love is love, do your thing. And because a lot of the times when men are choosing from the wrong intention, those women ain't winning either. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not easy for them. A lot of the times I don't feel like they know about these Black problems, like for real. And it's like, now you're dealing with something that you don't understand. And I'm looking like, because girl, that wasn't it.
You got new Black female cousins that don't like you.
It's just a lot, you know?
Yeah, no, it's all relative.
Yeah, and you're right. There are so many Black men who do have it that are marrying. And I think it's important too. So I put Do you think it's important for Black men and women to be more intentional about building family? And I would like to, I think about family all the time. It's the root, it's the foundation, whether it's nuclear or mixed, whatever I'm doing, I don't want my dollars to go to the wind. I don't want my stake in the ground to not have, roots with my family. Like, I'm serious about that. And I do think, like, yeah, if I married, sure, I could marry some, wealthy white guy or this, that, or the other and whatever. But it's just like, a part of it does make me feel in a small way like I would have rather expanded that wealth for another Black family, because I believe in that. So,
yeah. And don't get it twisted. These white men are getting rich and dating little Black girls.
Yeah.
That is true. That's
they love true. White men love some Black women.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Ladies, oh my bad. I know you want to.
No, I was like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you want to get some get back, just go ahead and get you a nice little white man.
I'm not attracted.
I'm not either.
I mean, I don't mean that in a bad. It's not my cup of tea. I should be okay. I guess.
You know who's the only fine white guy that I remember? That white guy from, I think he was on Save the Last Dance. That dancer one.
Oh,
Channing Tatum. He fine.
That's Magic Mike too, right?
Magic Mike. But he got some Black swag in him.
He got the sauce. Magic Mike got the sauce. I change my mind. We might do some Magic Mike. He look tall too. He be looking at us and stuff. Yeah.
You're gonna be so sad. You're gonna meet him. He gonna be like 5'4".
No, because we already talked about that last week. I'm not doing that.
He'd be shorter than me,
man. And
they be short on TV.
I love it. So, how did it make you feel to hear a brother say that he's very intentional about wanting to be an example of Black love and spreading wealth in the Black community? Like, did that make you feel any kind of way, or how does it feel to hear a Black man say that?
I love to hear it. I really love to hear it. Like I am definitely for anybody who finds love with who they find it with and how they find it. Like, I totally believe in that. But there is something to be said about a man, a Black man in particular, who is intentional about being with a Black woman and having a family and keeping that legacy within the Black community. And for me, why it feels so good is, just even being, a brown-skinned woman, I feel like just being a Black woman, Black person, Black man, it's always under attack. It's always being, measured up against of why it's not good enough. And so when you can hear that, someone else basically is like, no, like, I'm about basically being the representation of what is possible, what is real, like representing our royalty, all of the good stuff, like that definitely is like, I'm with that. I'm with you, so it definitely can make you feel good and just connected, because I think that even if it may be exaggerated, a lot of the images, a lot of the conversations that we hear are that we aren't the ones that are desired, that we're not the ones that are desired, rather. We're the ones who aren't being chosen. We're the ones who aren't good enough. Even statistically, Black women, we're the ones who are less likely, or more likely rather, to be single and unmarried. And so sometimes, when you're constantly being fed, with all that stuff, it's nice and refreshing to actually hear like, okay, yes, the reminder that there are Black men who want to be with Black women and have a Black family, that they do exist, that they're not just this unicorn, you know what I mean? That they do exist and that they're out there.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I second that. You done said it all. Couldn't have said it better
you said
myself.
You wrapped it up, girl.
You wrapped that one up. So shout out to Malik for being an amazing example, because it does feel good. It's something so small, but yes, when the media and all of this stuff is so crowded, and then, we're not seeing some of the stuff that, Key, you were talking about, and we're not seeing, it is refreshing to just be reminded that there are those men out there. And like you said, it's not just a unicorn situation. It's like, nah, like, this is important to me. And it's like, well, it's important to me too. Look at that. Love it. Another thing that he shared that was amazing was, and I'm actually starting to hear men say this a lot, and it just really delights my heart because it makes all the sense, but he believes in premarital counseling and that it's vitally important. So do you believe that premarital counseling is necessary before marriage? And how early do you think it's okay to begin, going to therapy as a couple?
I'm a bow out on this one. I ain't never even been in a relationship long enough to know.
I feel you for what you would like to do.
I feel
Yeah.
you. I definitely, being in a relationship and basically being marriage focused, I can see the importance of it and absolutely agree that it's something that's necessary. Just the type of relationships that you get into, either any type of relationship is always going to be our mirror. So you are bringing your traumas, you're bringing your pain, you're bringing your wounds, your expectation, your unintended baggage from your past, all these things, they show up. And there's a lot of things that I think can be unpacked and talked about with somebody who's neutral, who's not going to be as emotionally charged and can basically see things from different perspectives and maybe offer advice or offer things that, can help you either progress or decide that like, maybe we're not ready for this, or maybe we're just not meant to be together. Like, I think that there's something very, very, very valuable within that, and think that it's very necessary, because marriage and just relationships that are, rooted in just partnership and all that, there's so much more that comes to it than love. Like, love is not what's going to keep you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I don't know how early either, but I'm kind of willing to go kind of early.
Yeah.
If once the commitment is made, it's like, why not? Why not begin as soon as possible to start to unpack some of these things? I'd love to learn how to talk to my man better, or really uncover, like you said, with that third party who is, unattached, and it's a neutral party. The way they ask questions, the way they draw information out of us, the way that they could probably guide us down the path of being able to communicate better and open up different conversations that are the important conversations to have in order to have a lasting marriage. And then again, or not. I don't want to spend 2 years with the guy and then we think, let's get married, let's go to counseling, and then we find out like we've got all these cracks. Like, I don't mind diving in as early as possible. And then of course, until then, I'll just, be looking for my own therapy, or continuing to make sure I'm doing my own research and evolution to make sure that I'm showing up full and with the ability to communicate. Because even Malik shared in the show, he was like, so many guys that I know get married because they just think, well, I'm this age, I've been dating her this long, or I'm in college, she was mother, we just got to get married now. And I don't want to be the woman of whatever decision. Like, okay. Yeah. So they went to counseling and it turned out they didn't work out. He's like, he can't get a word in edgewise. They go to therapy. She talking over him at therapy on his turn. So it's like, he almost made one of the biggest mistakes of his life simply by not going to therapy.
And it's funny because I remember hearing that in the interview, and it's like, wow, that it's shocking that actually didn't show up in any other area of their relationship. You know what I mean? Like, how
probably did.
It probably did, and maybe he,
ignored
it or didn't really take it seriously. But it is interesting that it's like that dynamic really only showed up during the therapy.
Yeah, and the dynamic was probably there, but then when you have a professional on the outside, I think it's magnified. You're able to see the issues more, because like I think the ding moment for him was like, the counselor's talking to me, but you still talking.
Yeah.
Like, whether we're at home, out here, you're not gonna let me. Okay. So I think having that third party, like just that one, the observer in the room, sometimes is enough to be like, ooh, this is not looking right. Because you're right. He's been seeing the issue, but it was magnified once another party was brought in. And I think that's okay. I'm ready to get to, after everything that I've been through as far as relationships and just understanding, I'm ready to get to the crux of things and like the meat of it and figure out, is this going to work or is it not? I'm down to do the work. I'm good with that. I am good with that.
Yeah.
So the last
and not always having to be about like finding the flaws, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that sometimes there's that stigma of like the only time that you're going to therapy or counseling is to basically sift out the things that are going wrong, and that's not necessarily true. It could be just simply being able to learn, more about your partner, about just the things that they may not be able to communicate or articulate naturally on their own, based on what happened in childhood, or, ways that they like to be loved, a part of their love language, and just, different insights. And so I thought that that's also another important reason, to highlight why I believe in premarital counseling, and that, because it doesn't necessarily have to be just about discovering the secrets, but also just like, what are some ways to actually maintain the good that that we do have in the relationship.
Yeah, I love that. Good point. Because you want to turn up on that stuff. And then, yeah, again, with having that third party observer, it is an opportunity to see just how you can do things better overall, not because they're lacking anywhere, but you might learn or hear something that you can expound upon and give even more to your partner. Like I would be so excited about that. That's the whole point. You want to join with somebody to make their life good and, be a part of, all the juicy fun that comes with it. So I'm here for it. I can't wait. So that was really about, that was really all that I had. Was there anything else that you guys saw or thought about, or any other things to wrap up what you heard Malik talk about? I feel like we got to like most of the stuff. He was very on point with a lot of this stuff. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, no, it was a really good interview, a really good conversation. His transparency and honesty, again, I think really lent to like keeping it very real, and just revealing like a lot of um the miscommunication, the misunderstood things, even when it comes to, men, like showing that it really isn't that cute to always be on trend. That was actually something that was too, of like, when he was like, yeah, I brought the girl on the red carpet, that was the it girl at the time, and it's like, how, like, it was, I appreciated it to hear it in his honesty, but it definitely was just like, see, we always knew this was what it was. Like, you could see the trends showing up in the videos, you know what I mean? And then it translates into real life. And it's just like,
bruh, you really feel like you are on Big Pimpin'. Like, you feel like this is the yacht with Jay-Z and you popping about. And it's so funny because there were other men on other platforms that I looked later that chimed in on that, of being quote unquote guilty of just trying to pull a red carpet, whatever. And it is guided by the music videos. And I don't know what they're watching now, but between Love and Hip Hop and Cardi B and music videos,
or just Instagram in general, I guess.
The Instagram models, these guys are really grabbing up girls for a look. And that's a phase in a season. But when they mature out of it, they're over it, because it's not that these women don't have anything to offer at all, but it's like, you have to make a choice that makes sense for you. Like, why are you trying to flash with that? I don't know. It's a guy thing.
Yeah. They basically have the approval of their homeboys,
they be living for it. And that's their words, not mine.
Yep. He did say that. He absolutely said that. And it's just, it's wild, but very real, apparently.
And the more we know that, I think we can navigate, because I do think women, like, you start to get down. So now you're getting the butts. Now you're wearing your blonde wig got a little bit more platinum this year. You got, you know what I'm saying? You got all this stuff going on.
Your lips is a little bit bigger.
Your lips is a little bit bigger this year. So you're chasing something for the approval and attention of a man. I feel like it's the men that are gawking over this that's making it look like it's a hot thing. And that's not even really what they want. This is them shopping in an immature stage. But for women, we got to just know that and see it. Like, that would help us with our esteem and how we function, I think. And then how we treat each other as well, just in whatever space, because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes, there was one more thing. What did he say? Oh, so the last thing I wanted to share, which was really cute, is I like the little exercise his friend does as a couple. So here's a cute exercise you guys can do. I know I definitely want to implement it, or something you could think about, or maybe Keandra, you could do too. But they have the 2 separate bowls. So each person put what they like or what they want to do in the bowl. Yeah. And then, one night is your night, one night is your night. And if it's a romance movie for me tonight, it's my night. That's what we pick out the bowl. Cool. But if the next night is going to the racetrack, like, that's what you're doing for your man. So I really like that, because that's a cool, fun game. So I think that that'd be something cute to implement if y'all got a significant other put some activities or some stuff you want to do in a bowl, and then each night, whatever you choose, pick from each other's bowl and see what kind of little date fun you're going to get into. That's cute.
Yeah.
That is cute. I thought it was a cute idea. The
Yeah.
one last thing that I actually did like that came up and is an interesting thing as a qualifier is that men typically have to have a rock bottom moment before they are actually ready or can shed a lot of that superficial stuff that they look for in women before they're ready for a relationship. And that was like, I was like, man, that's really real. You know, like not only just for, I think women, but for men in particular, they really need to have a rock bottom moment and be humbled.
I don't even think men get messages without pain. I don't think until they're feeling pain is when they're like, whoa, what's going on? Because they'll get away with whatever they can get away with for as long as possible. And again, I'm interviewing all these men. That's their words, not mine. This is not my opinion about men. This is them solidifying and saying pain is something that get them up and get them moving. So it's like a rock bottom hit is necessary, I think, for everybody, even in business standpoint, to reach a level of humility so that you can grow from a different space and understand how to bounce back, pivot, what you really want and all of this stuff. But yeah, their qualifiers don't get sharp until after some stuff go down. And sometimes the lesson is way bigger than it. I don't want to say it needs to be because everybody has their journey, but like, you know, I guess whatever it takes. Because there's some, you know, men in my life I can see it's like, yeah, after, you know, the kids or after the marriage or after losing all your money and this, that, and the other, that's when the good stuff came out of you. So it's like, hey, if that's what it takes, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love it, ladies. Another Thursday in the bag. This was so much fun. Thank you guys so much for your time and wisdom, like usual. You know, can't wait for the next episode of King Speak. I don't even know what it's going to be, but I know it'll be good because these guys are going in right now.
Yeah, they're primed and ready. I'm here for it. I'm loving this new season, these new, you know, honest men, the men who are willing to actually be dedicated to their healing and their growth. Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get out of here, you guys want to share, again, what you have going on and where to find you online so that people could get into it.
Well, people can find me on Instagram with, my name is listed there at Keandra_D. I primarily work with professional women, but helping them create lives that are centered around well-being. So you can connect with me on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, Keandra Doss. And then I also have a Facebook group that is called the Surrendered Society for women who are looking to be in community with other women who are putting their well-being first, but who are also spiritual, but, you know, also just regular and homegirls and like to be in a safe space with like-minded women. So catch me and find me there. We'd love to engage with you.
Yes.
You guys can, of course, my name is down there too. I don't know how to, I'm going to have to do like my left and my right. It's like
it's opposite.
So opposite. But you guys can hit me up on Instagram or you can go straight to my website, keyrenee.com. So I have lots of tools on there if you're looking to build a business, tons of videos, information on how you can build and grow your business. And then I don't have nothing coming up except for Jesus. But girl, I got Jesus.
Well, that is a big topic. Jesus, you know, I'll take that. Whatever. We need him at all times. And then, of course, I'm your host, Jaimi Alexander. You can King Speak on Instagram at Kings Speak. And if you click the link in bio, you'll find several past interviews about a plethora of topics that might pique your interest and give you insight on how men think, where they're coming from. And the whole premise of this is not only get men to open up and share a little more, because that's not what they're used to, nor is it how they're raised to share emotions and be open and vulnerable about how they're feeling about things. But obviously this show, Queens Glean, came up because listening to them speak has given me an opportunity to not only heal, but grow and get more understanding about where they're coming from. It helps me understand myself. It helps me understand my journey. And it also helps me understand how men in a way where we're harmonizing a little bit more. So if you guys are into the info, King Speak on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. And you can follow me here. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week, Tuesday for Kings Speak and Thursday for Queens Glean. So thanks for rocking with us, and y'all have a good night.
Good night.